Hello, everybody. I'm Daniele Fontani, as Maximilian said. I work in DevOps and enterprise field. I start each presentation with this slide when I'm telling that when I'm not tracking and when I'm not playing with open source project in the spare time, I work in the DevOps field, and that's very, very interesting for me to stay here and try to share my experience and take your experience from the backstage, from the channel. So if you have any question, we can reach out later the conference. Here you can find some reference to get in touch with me. LinkedIn probably is the best way, but Twitter is good enough. So just go into the core of the presentation. The presentation is quite long, but I will try to keep the focus on the most important things. The first point is, what is DevOps today? Because as consultant, as IT professional, we have to know what is the status of DevOps today, and we need to be able to advise our customer and our company. But how to do that? The only way is to know the future, is to know the technologies that we will need in the future to be in advance with the times. And finally, I will try to give you some tricks to survive to this change. Well, just jump in the first part. What is DevOps today? Everybody of us know what is DevOps. In 2009, when for the first time in the history, Patrick Dubois used this term, he was referring to the need of put together Dev and Ops. So putting together these two units and remove the friction that we usually had. How DevOps changed our life? Of course, we can mention process definition and automation. Oh, we love when we commit the code and we have an automatic build. That's good. But this is good because it brings better quality. It reduces human error. It reduces the communication issues between the people that is working on a software. So DevOps is useful. We cannot start a new project without DevOps. But what is the status of art? DevOps is growing. We know, but a lot of company are yet trying to add DevOps practice to their software development team. And how this company organize the team and how much company do DevOps. This information is important because it helps us to understand better how we can help company to grow in the DevOps side. So I'm here with some number. The first number I'm showing you is the revenue, is the total revenue near the DevOps world. We are talking about 8 billion estimated in 2022. This number will increase to 12.85 in 2025. So it's a huge number that will increase. Moreover, if we see how many company was using DevOps in 2019, well, we see that we are passing from the 3% in 2019 to the 30% in 2023. So this is another huge increase. Well, and we can see how we are cutting manual deployment from 28% of application to 40% of application. Well, this just in 1 year. So DevOps is a big trend, and DevOps start has a philosophy. How we know, it's not just about tools or people; it's a philosophy. But there is a time when companies need to face with the reality. Companies need to start deploying the application. Okay, if you see this picture, of course, I drew this picture by myself, and now you know that I'm not a painter, neither a designer. Probably it's better that I stay on the DevOps side. But of course, this painting just tell what my feeling about DevOps. Yes, it's a philosophy. We love that. It's a cultural problem. We love that. But there is a time when we need to find practical solution. There is a time when we need to put in practice tool and procedure to get some benefits. Well, how companies are implementing DevOps in their organization? The first easier solution is to take one people from the operation side, one people from the developer side, put together them and share resources between teams. This is the easier way. And this solution has some pros and some cons. The pros is that resources are always updated on the technology because they are working inside the teams. They know what the teams need, but they are not full-time DevOps. So you can call them. Maybe they are available, maybe not. So another solution that bigger company adopt is to create a team, an embedded team for DevOps. This solution has some benefits because people are always available. So you take the phone and they answer. Such people are focused on DevOps. They do only one thing. So they are more focused and they doesn't have any double hat when are working. This is good. But the problem here is that if you pull such people away from active development and from active sysadmin, they probably will lose some hard skill. So they will need to keep trained. And this is not automatic in companies. This cost. The final solution for very big corporation or for multi-product companies is to create one DevOps teams inside its business unit or inside its product unit. This solution has the advantage of having people that are always available, yes, and are near to the dev team, know what they are deploying. And it's a very good solution, but the problem is here that each business unit work as a different realm. So you have to find a way for keeping some shared procedure, some shared methodologies for avoid situation when one team has the excellence and one team is poor. So this is how the company that are implementing DevOps implements DevOps. But there is another interesting data is which number of companies are doing DevOps. You can see only the 17% of companies has fully embraced DevOps. The 17% is just a very, very little number. And we have the 6% of companies that never heard about DevOps before. This data is from 2019. I suppose that this number now are a little bit better. Well, but this is the real world outside our vision as consultant. We know what are the opportunity of DevOps, but this is what companies think about DevOps. What company are doing with DevOps. So what next? What is the future? Because for all that companies that need to start DevOps, need to improve the DevOps process, we have to come to them with the best solution, with the solution that works and can be reused and can be working from the next year. And that's why we are talking about the future of DevOps here. The first point, talking about DevOps is about security. Well, I don't want to say that now security is important, but yesterday it wasn't. This is not true. Security has always been important, but the growing usage of digital services and the storage of sensitive data, we are talking about photo, but biometric data, your address, mail, phone number, every website, e-commerce has a lot of sensitive data. And now it's crucial for our application to be compliant with law. We are talking about GDPR in Europe. Well, but a lot of other companies are following the way to add some law that ask us to be safe, to store safe data. And the user, moreover, the user itself, moreover, is asking where their data are, how their data are managed. So our customers expect that we keep information secure. We cannot fail. And we cannot go live without a security check. We cannot handle the situation when we put in production and there is a security hole in the application. But moreover, we cannot handle the situation where we implement a product, image a product that cost $100,000 and need month of developing, and then at the end, after we developed, we tested, we have the security check. Maybe the security check the day before the go live. What if the security check tell that the software is not secure, is not safe, and have to be redone? We cannot allow that. This is no more possible. Simply, it's no more possible. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and other competitors will go to the market before us. So this is no more possible. And we cannot allow the situation when we arrive near to the go live and then we reject the application. So what do we have to do? We have to do something like we have done in the DevOps process. It worked. Putting the operation and dev together worked. Just put also security inside the team. We can start automating tests. We can start understanding if the software is secure since the first release. Since the first release in test, not since the first release in production, when it's too late for coming back. Well, this is the first and the most important point, and in the next year will be more and more important in DevOps field. The second point is about no-ops. Okay, so each time I'm talking about no-ops, there is somebody that is scared about this term, because if you listen the sound of the word no-ops, okay, if you see what is the definition of DevOps, somebody will tell that it means no operation. So what is the meaning of DevOps? We are removing infrastructure. We are firing all the sysadmin guys. No, this is not no-ops. Okay, the no-ops is a provocative term that want to remove all the friction between development and the platform and infrastructure. Want to remove all the time that is not really needed for managing a platform, for managing infrastructure. So basically, we want to replace because if you think to DevOps is something that adapts the source code to the environment. With no-ops, it is very teeny, this is very simple. You can just put your code on production by committing the code itself, and everything is automated. Also the infrastructure part. So this is good. But we cannot forget about the real reason why we still have to take care about the infrastructure. So we still have to monitor the infrastructure. We still have to monitor which code is going to production. We still have to taking care about security, and we still need to take care about cost, because of course with cloud it's easier to go on ops, but at the end of the month we will get an invoice from the hyperscaler, okay? And hyperscaler not always is economical, so we have to pay attention about what we are deploying, and we have to optimize the cloud usage for avoid bad surprise at the end of the month. Well, another point is about infrastructure as a code. It is possible. Yes, it is possible. It is possible, and I like that, because source code is very, very cool. It's the cooler thing you can imagine, source code, because you can version code, you can share code. I can just send you a Python script and you can run on your local and you can get some result. It is replicable. You can cut and paste code from Stack Overflow and it works often. And it is easy to replicate, easy to restore. And your infrastructure is like code. No, but we want that the infrastructure was like code. We want to version the infrastructure, and we want to roll back if something does not work. We want to share our infrastructure with the colleague and create a new infrastructure just by copy and paste. And we want to have something that is easy to restore. Well, how we can do that? This is not so hard, because we can use Ansible for everything is based on virtual machine. It's a good solution for automating things, automating virtual machine creation. We can use Terraform for the cloud, for Kubernetes. Kubernetes itself is described by YAML file, and YAML file are source code. We can copy, paste, and commit to a repository and so on. So infrastructure as a code is possible. Infrastructure as a code is important to start thinking of our infrastructure as something that we can manage like a code. The last point, probably not the last point, but quite so, traditional pipeline and something like that. So we build the code, we put in test, we package, and we deploy. This is easier, and this was fine in 2009 when Patrick Debois created the DevOps Terms, and when we have a monolithic MVC application. But now it's not like that. We doesn't have a linear stream. It's more like that. Just think to a single page application when you have front end and back end, or think to a microservice application when the back end is composed by thousands of API application. Each one has a different behavior, has a different production flow. It's something like that. It's not linear. It's not like that. It's like that. So UI has some timeline, API has a different timeline, but there are dependency. Maybe you need to change different things. It's very hard to have control about all this process. So the solution is to adopt a paradigm that is very similar to the assembly line. The assembly line that we had in the industry. This is a photo from Ford Motor Company, when all the worker had pieces on the car, and it's something like we can do in our infrastructure, in our software. We can have something that is not linear, because we can ask to security for producing Docker images. We can ask to operation to prepare the automation script. We can ask developer to put the code inside this big farm, and we can ask tester to take part of the on the same platform, and we can ask to project manager and to managers in general to see the dashboard in the same tool. That is what we call the island of automation. This tool is not fantasy. You can just use many solutions. I just want to mention Azure DevOps, GitHub, and so on. Probably you won't have all the solution together. Maybe you have to combine some tool. But what you need in general is a source control, continuous integration, some artifact repository that's good, a notification system like Slack, Teams, everything you want, some infrastructure provisioning system. We mentioned Terraform and Ansible, of course. There are other, and some testing tool. Putting all together, you will create an environment where everybody, manager, product manager, team leader, scrum master, developer, and tester, everybody in the company can go inside and see what is happening to the software. And this is very good. This is very good for transparency and for understanding what's happening behind the software, and everything will be easier to communicate. Well, then the last point is about cloud. Is our friend? Yes, cloud is our friend. I doesn't have anything to add, but it's important to remember that if we can, not always we can, but if we can use cloud services. We can move to the cloud for getting benefits and focusing on the app development instead of the infrastructure management. This is a good step forward. Wrapping up everything. What I can tell, we see this evening that some very interesting trend on DevOps that will be needed to put in practice in the next year for getting good solution and promote them to the customer. We are talking about DevSecOps, so putting security inside the DevOps. We are understanding that it's good to focus on the applet development, on the development part, on the future development, on the product, instead of the management, the infrastructure management part. So infrastructure is important, but it's not our business. So if we find some solution that help that, some no-hop solution, some cloud solution that reduce the effort we have to put on the maintenance, if we can do that, it's good. And we have to treat all the infrastructure as a code for having something that is replicable, that is reusable, and that is safe. Because if the server farm burn, we can just restore everything in another farm. Don't worry, just change the DNS. Okay, and then we learn that as our application become more and more complex, it's more and more hard to represent the application flow just using a linear pipeline. So probably we will have something more complex, and we need to share the vision application between all the team members. Finally, of course, the cloud. I tell it again, cloud is important and brings more solution than problems. So why don't adopt it? Well, my presentation could finish here if we doesn't have any bad news. But I have one bad news, or better, I already told the bad news at the beginning. The bad news is about the number of companies that are implementing DevOps. Well, we was talking about great topics, the SecOps, cloud. We talked about pipelines. Well, everything is super fine. It's super fine. But then there is the reality. Reality tells us that 17% of companies are fully embraced DevOps, and that 6% of companies never heard about DevOps. Well, this tells us as consultant and professional that probably we have to go to the customer. We have to go to our bosses and create and work not only on the technical part, but also in the cultural part. And if you think to this cultural process, of course, a lot of topics depends by the point of view, because often what is new for me is not new for another people, or what is not new for me, what is standard for me, is something really new for my customer. So we have to be kind with them, and we have to understand that there are companies that go faster, like the technology companies, and companies that go slower. Okay, finance and bank fields are always reluctant to change. Well, and some company really don't know anything about DevOps, and here we can do more. We can introduce DevOps to them, and we can explain that there is a saving, that is a benefits, and it's not hard to explain and not hard to understand, of course. And finally, we have a way for bringing benefits to the customer without too much effort. And that's why I mentioned Kubernetes in the previous slide. And because if you think to Kubernetes is a practical solution. It's really practical because first of all, can run on-premise or in cloud. Of course, the governance of Kubernetes in on-premise is not easy, but it can run on-premise and in the cloud. And in the cloud is quite vendor independent, because Kubernetes. Yes, I know that each hyperscaler, each vendor has some little difference that doesn't allow you to take the Kubernetes instance as is and just move. But with a small effort, we can move. It's described by the code, so you can just save your YAML file, commit to a Git repository, restore, replicate. This is good. This is like infrastructure as a code. We like that. And we can set up easily a near no-hop solution when we use cloud solution that manages the infrastructure for us, and maybe we use some pipeline or some accelerator for deploying the infrastructure and deploy the application. So this is good. And finally, I already tell it's multi-cloud. So Kubernetes is a good solution that can be easy to explain to the customer and bring all the benefit we talked today. Of course, you can use a lot of alternative solution. You can use one of the 1,000 services, managed services that hyperscaler give to you. You can still stay on premise. There is sometimes we can simply not go to the cloud, of course. But the important thing is that knowing what will be the trend in the next year, knowing that we can help our customer and our company to be prepared, to be ready for the time that will come. So with that slide, I thank you for listening, and I'm here for questions.